moving. So the next thing I'd like to do is take our building block and put it like in a tabulation. And I'd like to show you, what that means and what that looks like in particular. So for, in my content, I've created a line of business discovery, right? And I've used the current month or current, I guess, I don't know if it's actually a current month. I think it's the end of, 2024. So the December 31st of 2024, as our sample or as our example here, I'm going to call it current month data, right? And you can throw it into our Tabulate. And then, of course, you can take the prior month data and you can throw it in to Tabulate. Well, this, of course, has been updated due to our coloring. And you can see that that's a good thing, that we do have the same design, through and through. As we get further along and as we go into our lesson planning, you can also set up different themes. And we could talk about this in more, and I'll go into detail, in the future. But this is where you would kind of set up a theme and then default that theme, right, to potentially what it is that you would want moving forward. As you can see, rainbow is what it's defaulted to here. But anyways, so getting back to this, I know we have a limited time. I want to show you this real quick. So what you can do, right, in tabulation or Tabulate is very similar to what you can do in Excel. Any of the functionality, right, that's available there, as far as like sum ifs or whatever it might be, right, subtotal, whatever, you're able to do that here. The drag and drop functionality, and then being able to do different comparisons is something that you can do as well. So what I have found, right, is that you can come in and create almost like validation checks, or you can create, different iterations, of a report, and you can compare reports. So if you didn't want to compare prior year, or prior month, you wanted to compare, maybe the prior quarters or whatever, you could definitely do that, right? And then you can develop your own, versions, right, of the discoveries that make the most sense for your, Tabulate creation, right? And then from here, you would be able to save, right? And then every time the data is updated, every time this report is new, whether it be the current month or the prior, right? These calculations would be stored, saved, and updated when you opened it. So if you were to go in, right, and then export to Excel, you would, get all of the data that you see, and it would, of course, be in that Excel format and be able for you to utilize it as you would like. The Tabulate does have a restriction on the amount of rows. I think 5 or 10,000 is typically what it will go to before it starts to have a little bit of a hiccup. So using a summarized view or a summarized look can be beneficial for the Tabulate. Sometimes if you put